Hello, students. Welcome to Ielts Insider. This is our first live stream. I'm very excited today and welcome everyone who has joined live now and to all the people that will watch this live stream later. I am Robin Shaw, and IELTS Insider is a channel that I have made with one of my great friends, James. He will also be doing live streams in the future. He's one of the best IELTS teachers in the world. So I hope you check out his live streams coming in about a week or two. Before we get started, the topic today is common mistakes students make when preparing for the IELTS test. But before I get into that, I'm just going to say hello to the students who showed up early on time for class here. Sleepwalker, good to see you here. And you say they're uh, holiday in Russia. And is there any news in Korea about monkeypox? I see on the news there are some stories about monkeypox, but I haven't been reading them. I've been so focused on YouTube and creating content that I'm not up to date on the latest news. And Grace is here. Hello, welcome, Grace. Good to see you. And for anyone else watching, don't be afraid to say hello in the comment section or ask questions as we go along. I'm going to get into my topic soon, but very quickly, Sleepwalker and Grace, could you type the reason you're interested in IELTS and why you want to prepare for the IELTS exam as I set up the topic here? Or maybe we'll do a side. Michelle, hello, Michelle. I think we can get rid of my name. Welcome, Michelle. And Anna Maria, hello. So I asked the question, please type, why are you interested in IELTS? And do you have a plan to take IELTS? Let me know in the comments as I start going through the topic. Okay, so today's topic, 10 common mistakes in preparing for IELTS. So I have a lot of experience helping students prepare for the IELTS exam. And these are common mistakes. I listed 10. Of course, there's a lot more. I or James will probably talk about that in future videos. Mistake number one, skipping the English basics. Uh, from time to time, I will get an IELTS student, and you know, when they decide to take the IELTS, maybe they're preparing to go to a university in an English speaking country, or they want to get a job. And of course, one of the requirements, probably some uh, agency or institute told them you need IELTS 6.5 or 7, which is quite high. And they immediately start studying IELTS. And to study, IELTS is a difficult test, as we know. It's not something that we could just study it a week and pass. It takes a lot of time, and I'll talk about that today. But a lot of students, their level is not very high, and they immediately start studying the IELTS exam. And this is not a good way to study the IELTS exam. So, for example, they might not be strong in grammar, they might not be strong in vocabulary, and then just start reading and writing and listening, uh, practice reading, writing, listening with the IELTS exam. And this is at a fairly high level and too high for them to start. So, a lot of students, you should be aware of your level, where you're starting at, and don't skip the basics. You should have a strong knowledge of basic English, reading, writing, listening, and speaking before you jump into studying the IELTS. So this is something a lot of students have to uh, be careful of. And I've taught students that are at a very low level. they started to study the IELTS, and it doesn't work well if you're starting IELTS from a low level. You're probably doing more damage than good. All right, I'm going to just check the comments here. Sleepwalker, I think it would be great to take the test, actually check my knowledge and skills and get the certificate because it's worth it and may come in handy. Okay, that's good. Yeah, it it is something. It is a test that students around the world, even if they don't need it, they take it. They take it to kind of check their level and just know, you know, how good their English is. But IELTS is not the only test, and IELTS is not. It's a good indicator of your skills, but it's not a perfect indicator of your skills. Okay. So yeah, good for you. Louise here. Anna Maria. I want to study a master's. Okay, you want to get a master's degree in English at a university outside of Columbia. You're in Columbia. I know that. IELTS is required. Yes, and Anna Maria, I have spoken to you in chat rooms, and your level is quite high. Uh, have you taken the IELTS? I think you would probably get a really high score, um, if you studied it. And IELTS is a test you really, really have to prepare and practice. And you seem like a very diligent person who would do that. And Michelle, I'm not interested in taking this exam, but I do look occasionally. Okay, that's okay. Salome, hello, Mr. Shaw and my friends. Welcome. Do you have any interest in the IELTS, Salome? Let me know. All right, I'm going to go on to the second slide. All right, so a lot of students, when taking the IELTS, they forget to plan ahead. That means many things. The IELTS test is not a test you just schedule some date and you go there. It requires a lot of planning, scheduling, managing your time, uh, managing what goals you want to achieve, in the build up, the run up before the test. So it's very important you take the IELTS test serious. This is a very serious test, and you have to take it. You have to be very serious when you're planning to study for it and take it. So you should think months before your test. Think ahead months. This is not something weeks ahead. This is months ahead, maybe 6 months for some people, 1 year, 2 years of planning for the IELTS. It depends on your level, of course. But certainly, if, for example, if we start 6 months ahead, you really have to plan how, get a study schedule. What are you going, what are your goals for each month or week or even day? It has to be a well planned strategy before the test. And on the day of the test, you really have to plan, uh, getting to the test center and or the night before you plan it, just planning to get a good night's sleep. Everything has to be planned, and a lot of students don't plan in detail. They take this lightly and they think, okay, it's not a test you can cram for. It's not a test you can a week before. I am going to just study every day, every night, and I will. No, it doesn't work that way. So this is a big mistake. If you decide I'm going to take the IELTS, you have to plan, and you have to plan months and months in advance exactly what you're going to do. All right. Salome, you didn't mention about if you have an IELTS plan. Let me know. And Dewey, do you have any IELTS plan? I'm going to move on to slide 3. This is another common mistake, focusing on accent rather than pronunciation. The IELTS test is uh, based in the UK, or It is accepted around the world, but a lot of students think, oh, I have to have a British accent or an American accent. And this is not true. You do not need a British accent or American accent. They do not give you points for a great accent, but pronunciation is critical. You have to have great pronunciation. Well, it doesn't have to be perfect. Of course, you're always trying to get to perfect, but it doesn't have to be perfect. But certainly, when you are speaking, they have to understand the words clearly. Again, I meet some students, they're focusing on achieving that British or American accent. I would say don't waste or don't think of it that way. Just think of I got to practice pronouncing words correctly. And let's take a look at the comments. Sleepwalker, yes. Before taking this test, it would be good to practice with a tutor who knows this test well. On the text itself, test or text. It would be much easier if you know the execution pattern. Well, that's why we're here at IELTS Insider to help you. We'll be giving information. And of course, you can start by joining our social media in the links below this video. There's all kinds of links to our social media. We'll give tips and stuff there. Same with Michael. I'm not planning to take this exam, but I'm interested in knowing about this exam to enhance my knowledge. Uh, yes, it can certainly enhance your English knowledge. Yes, I'm interested in IELTS, but I'm not sure my English level is good or not. I want to study for IELTS, not just for degree. I want to improve my English while I'm studying for it. Okay. Yeah, that's a great reason. Those are great reasons. Hendrik, what is the difference between IELTS and TOEFL? That's a good question. You know, TOEFL was made by in America. IELTS was made in the UK. Generally speaking, both of these tests are usually accepted by most universities around the world, but IELTS is a little more British focused, and TOEFL is a little more American focused. Um, the question styles are going to differ a little bit, but the components, it's testing you on your reading, writing, listening, and speaking. There is a belief that IELTS is easier than TOEFL. I'm not sure about that, but when I talk to students, a lot of students think IELTS is easier than TOEFL. I'm not sure if I agree with that. Dewey, I don't have any plans for IELTS, but I like to try to learn. Okay, that's a good first step. I learn English for only studying and help my kids learn English, and mostly useful too when I'm traveling to abroad. Okay, that's good. That's good. All right. A lot of kids study for IELTS and TOEFL here in Korea. Okay, number four, focusing more on the test and less on your language capabilities. So this is a mistake that students make. They decide I'm going to study IELTS. Let's say 1 year later, I'm going to take the test. So I'm going to spend 1 year just studying IELTS, just studying the test, doing practice tests, reading about information about IELTS. They totally focus on the IELTS test. And this is a mistake. You should focus and on, study for the IELTS, but also just your general English level. Trying to improve speaking, reading, writing, listening, which is not related to IELTS. It's just your general level. You should not just focus on the test. Uh, and a lot of students don't realize that the test is the first step to get you to the English speaking country and the job or the university. But you also have to survive after the test. and you need your IELTS test taking strategies will not help you survive in a university class in America. Well, some strategies might, but you do need to improve your general English and survive in all kinds of situations not related to IELTS. So, uh, if you do start to study for IELTS, yes, focus on the test itself, but also focus on other things to improve your English, your general English. And I'm going to talk about that a little later in another slide. Let's see the comments. Henrik, oh, I see. So that's why when we're practicing listening with IELTS tests, it's hard to understand what they speak because they speak faster with a British accent. They use multiple accents. They don't just use British accent. So if you're listening to IELTS, they'll use multiple accents. Uh, they do speak fast on the test on these tests. Sometimes it's hard to understand for me too. They do speak fast, so uh, it's best to practice not just the British accent, but listening to multiple accents from different regions around the world. Jonathan, hey, Jonathan, welcome. Okay, let's move along. Uh, Not another mistake students make, not understanding the test format and time constraints. So I have met kind of cocky students, they might have studied in America or the UK already. Their English level is quite high. They speak very well. And they think, well, okay, I speak very well, so the test is going to be easy for me. But no, uh, you have to understand the test format and the time constraints, the time limits of the test. So it is very important you understand the test. So part of IELTS is knowing that test very well. Each part, the time, the question style. Uh, it's like uh, you have to. How can I express this? It's it's just something. I'm thinking of my students who get into this trap. Uh, yeah, just I'm thinking of one student. He didn't. He just took the IELTS test without knowing. He didn't study the test. He didn't do any practice tests. He just studied the test, and he was shocked after the test. He was shocked, and yeah, his biggest regret was he didn't know the test. So I don't want to spend too much time on number 5 here, but just if you're going to study IELTS, start learning the test. Learning the test takes time and practice, which will lead to number 6 problem is a lot of students never take the practice test, and the one student I'm thinking of, he never took a practice test. Again, his English was great. He thought, no problem on the IELTS, but if you don't take a practice test, you might be in for a shock. So, certainly before you attempt the IELTS test, you should take a practice test. This test is no joke and it is expensive. It's hundreds of dollars depending on your area. You should prepare, know the test, take the practice test. Okay, I'm going to check the questions. How to improve listening and reading skills. Practice. I find it rather difficult to answer the reading component compared to other questions. Well, first thing I would say is don't don't focus on one area. Even if you are, there's the reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Now you think, okay, I'm pretty good on the reading, I'm weak on the speaking, so I'm going to focus just on the, reading or writing or whatever part you think you are weak in. You should always be practicing all parts of the test. So you're focused on how to improve listening and reading skills. Your attitude should be, I'm always improving all skills. All skills need to be improved. And of course, you're thinking, well, my listening and reading skills are weak. Again, all you got to be spending time, even if you think you have stronger skills, you're still spending on time to make them even stronger. So, how to improve listening and reading? I'm just going to say how to improve every skill is again practice, not just the IELTS test, but your general speaking and listening and reading abilities, which I'll talk about in another slide. I spent a lot of time answering the reading components. Well, there's reading skills, speed and scanning and skimming. I'm not going to go into all of those skills, but there are skills we'll talk about in other videos. Um, I might do that next this week. I might talk about reading skills. If we go to study in Canada, will they accept it if we have a test? Yes. Yes, most universities will accept either the IELTS or TOEFL score. Uh, and it depends on your area, your region. Some countries it's easier to get an IELTS score than a TOEFL score, just because there's more test centers for IELTS. You need to take into account the time constraints. Yes, time constraints very important. Like in IQ test, every test has a time constraint. People are, we don't have all day. Finish this test. Do you have any suggestions on how to use the time wisely during the exam? I have lots of suggestions, and that's going to be an entire video in the future. So subscribe, and I will go into great detail about that. I'm not gonna tell you every detail about the IELTS test today. I'm just talking about common mistakes. So, well, we have practice tests here. Not yet. Practice tests are. We'll do our best to have tests or ways to practice. We're still building them. Certainly, we'll have something. Jonathan, when I spoke with some native speakers, sometimes said, I don't understand your accent. Okay. I've been focused on my pronunciation. In this case, could you give me some advice? Yeah, pronunciation, again, depending on your age and other factors, it can be difficult to change a pronunciation. Jonathan, you might have been speaking English with your pronunciation for the same pronunciation for 20 years, and then suddenly someone says, Change it now." That's not an easy task. I know. It takes uh, it takes time. It's good. There's so many ways to work on pronunciation. Of course, mimicking or shadowing native speakers, but also recording yourself, listening to it back. There are apps that will check your pronunciation, and it's very important to find words that, or it could be consonants or vowels, specific consonants or vowels you're having trouble pronouncing, but it's very important to find your problems. Of course, I will tell you your mistakes or your some words I don't understand when talking to me. It is difficult and that requires a lot of time and effort, Jonathan. I'll do my best to help if you're going to take the IELTS test. Yes, you need all skills. Scanning and scheming are necessary skills. Uh, for sometimes, a lot of times, you don't need to read everything, and scanning and scheming will save you a lot of time. And those are skills you need to have. And I will do a lesson, or James will do a lesson on that in the future. How long does it usually take to complete whole IELTS? That is a long process. It's about, I think, 2 hours I know I'm the expert. 2 hours 45 minutes. It's broken up into the components, but it is a long test, almost 3 hours. Uh, it's a serious test, and you got to be ready. You got to be ready on that day. You got to sleep. You got to have a good night's sleep before that day, and you got to make sure you eat, and your stress levels down, and there's a whole preparation routine you should have. All right, I'm gonna move along here. Uh, this is another mistake. I would say not immersing yourself in English. Now, the key word here is immersing. What is immersing? You're surrounding yourself with English. Your news is in English. Your entertainment is in English. Uh, Everything, when you decide, I'm going to take the IELTS test, um, you should immediately immerse yourself in English. Everything you do is in English. If you're going to read a newspaper, it's in English. If you're going to watch a movie, watch it in English or at least English subtitles. You have to try and get English in your life. It is your life. If you're studying for the IELTS, everything is English. So when you decide to take the IELTS, it's not just something. Okay, I'm going to study IELTS 2 hours tomorrow, and then when I'm not studying, I don't care about it. No, you got to take the time to study, and when you're not studying, you're still in, trying to uh, expose yourself to things in English, whether it's news or entertainment, things like that. It's a serious test, so immerse yourself. Okay, here's very important. Not building your vocabulary. Vocabulary is so important. It is for some of my students, yeah, a lack of vocabulary is can lead to lower scores. So you have to build your vocabulary. You have to not only know bigger words, formal words, more difficult words, but for the IELTS test, you have to know the synonyms of those words. And knowing the synonyms is key to a lot of the questions, whether they're reading or listening. Synonyms, or even the writing, you should be using synonyms of words. So you have to build your vocabulary and know the synonyms of those words. Very important. And I'm going to go to number 9 here. A lot of students, they're not improving their spelling. So you have to build your vocabulary and spelling. Spelling is important. For example, the listening component. You have to listen. You have to write the word. So listening's already difficult, right? And each point counts. So you listen. Okay, I understand. I know the word, and you write the word, and it has the wrong spelling. You lost the point. Okay, you got that wrong. Spelling is critical for this test. Knowing the vocabulary, you don't want to lose those points. Oh, I understand the word. I understand it. But you're not going to get the point with the wrong spelling. So, vocabulary, so important, and synonyms. All right, let's take a look at what I like learning synonyms. Yeah, Sleepwalker, from what I know of you, you tend to ask me a lot of questions about synonyms. Uh, anyone who's teaching for IELTS will teach, the importance of synonyms. All right, let's move on to slide 10. And again, I will admit my spelling is sometimes not so good, but on the on the test, if you do write a word, always recheck, check and recheck to make sure spelling is correct. Because if it's spelled wrong, you don't get the points. And number 10, the last one I'll talk about is having too much confidence. Again, not preparing, not scheduling in advance. They just have too much confidence. Like, I speak English. Yeah, they might do one or two practice tests. I got it. The test is difficult for everyone, even native speakers. So there's no such thing, you know, being over prepared. It is a difficult test. You have to spend months, if not years, practicing for this test, and you know it's expensive too. You don't want to waste time. This is expensive test. You don't want to waste $300 to get a score you don't want. When you go to write that test, you have to be ready, uh, and do your best and try to get the best score. How do we practice improving our spelling? Well, building your vocabulary, you can keep a notebook of your vocabulary. Uh, when you type words, there's always autocorrect. So I recommend to some students, get a pencil, write it in a book. Just the act of writing it can help improve your spelling. Um, and there's spelling patterns like I before E, except after C. There's little rules like that you can learn to help your spelling. But yeah, we'll give more tips in the future. When you are nervous, you can make mistakes even in your own language, actually. Yeah. So for the IELTS test, you will be nervous. That's something we will talk about, some strategies about that in the future. You will be nervous. It is. It is a scary test when you walk in and the teacher's there and they're going to start asking you a lot of questions. You got to talk a lot. Um, uh, and also the listening. A lot of students get lost in the listening, and that causes a lot of stress. We'll talk about that in future videos. It is a nervous time, and you will make mistakes, but everyone's going to make mistakes. So it's okay to make mistakes. How do you recover from those mistakes? We'll talk about that in a future. Shall we write more essays? Yes, we shall. We should practice writing. If you join the WhatsApp group, we'll probably practice a little more writing. All of those things. Okay, that's number 10 of common mistakes. There are more mistakes. So I'm going to ask to the group here, how many people are serious about IELTS? Now, I know some of you are curious about IELTS, but how many here are actually serious about IELTS? Let me know in the comments. Yeah, this spelling. It's terrible when I see students. They hear the right word, but they don't spell it correctly. And I'm like, oh, you got the hearing, but not the spelling. Immerse yourself. Everything in English. Practice the test. Understand the test. Pronunciation, not accent. Plan. Skipping the basics. So another thing about the basics, for example, if you don't know like comparatives or superlatives, comparing things, you should study things like that before you go to the test. How to compare things. I always nervous when to talk with someone. I prefer writing than speaking. Well, Dewey, IELTS doesn't care what you prefer. Uh, you have to do it all, and that's good. Dewey, you should accept the challenge. Uh, I'm nervous while talking, so I'm gonna practice talking more. I'm gonna do more of that. I'm gonna accept that challenge, and I want to overcome this problem. So, for your kids, Dewey, show them you can overcome. Henrik, I am serious, but it is expensive, so I prefer TOEFL. How much is the TOEFL test in your area? TOEFL test cost. Uh, TOEFL can be 185, $190. That's still pretty expensive. I don't know what it is in your area. And the IELTS, IELTS says it ranges from 140 to $310. Again, it depends on your area. Uh, so yeah, the IELTS is a little bit more expensive, but Henrik, if you are planning to go to America or the UK, Australia, New Zealand, these English speaking countries, that difference in money doesn't really matter too much because the cost of going to these countries is uh, the real fee. I realize that now I do not have the level to get that mark on the test that I would like to have. Well, what is I didn't go over the different bands. They call them bands, the different levels. Usually seven. There's nine bands. Band seven is what most universities and jobs want. Of course, you will find some university jobs that might ask for band 6.5 or maybe even 6. Even 5.5, I've seen some places, uh, but 7 is usually the band 7 is usually what you need to uh, go to the higher level universities and jobs. Salome says, serious, great. Join the WhatsApp group. If you're not, below this video. I am always nervous all the time. Well, Grace, it stops today, right? Tell me it stops today. From today, this is what you're going to improve. Why not? Okay, about the test, but not soon. Well, there's no such thing as taking the IELTS test soon. It is, like I said, some people, it's years of preparation. Some people here in Korea, they study IELTS 2 years. Um, Depends on where you're starting from and your target band, but at least I would say at least 6 months before. I would like to know more tips about handle the time. We will talk about Anna Maria. I'm not going to talk about everything in this live stream, so I'll be sure to talk about more about that in the future. But a little confused how to start. There are many books and websites, and they make me more confused. Well, just start. You could just start with your general English. You don't have to touch IELTS immediately. You don't have to start studying immediately. You can just be working on your reading skills, your listening skills, speaking and writing skills, all your general skills. Before you understand what you need to do exactly about IELTS, you could just start working on those skills, improving those skills. And of course, subscribe to this channel, and slowly I will introduce all you need to know about IELTS, all the secrets. Too expensive. Yeah. Also, I failed with time management. Yeah, time, effort. You need a lot of discipline, diligence. Uh, those are skills too, right? How to manage your time, and certainly we'll talk about that. How to, different strategies, techniques to keep you focused on studying. It's boring to sit down and study IELTS for 10 hours a day. You don't want to do that. So, uh, kind of manage your time. I think it depends on how intensively the person studies and prepares for the test. For example, you can study for 6 months every day and prepare well. To me, every all study for IELTS should be intensive, and to me, all studying of English should be intensive. I don't like hobby studiers. I like people. Hey, I'm gonna do. I decided to study English or IELTS, and I'm going to do my best to get to the highest level I can. And I know that requires a lot of time and effort. So certainly, IELTS is not something I'm going to study it every Sunday. Yeah, you could make a schedule like that, but uh, that's not how you should approach this test. It's more of, okay, this is a big test. This is an important test. This test could change my life. Uh, I'm going to devote all possible time to studying the test, practicing the test, also improving my general English knowledge, immersing myself. This is my new life, English. And when I get my desired band score on the IELTS test, that's going to lead me to, my new life in an English speaking country. So I have to be ready for all that. Okay. But of course, I'm going to help everyone. I'm not just going to help the intensive stuff. I know some of you are here just to improve your English, and IELTS is a way to help. One way, not the only way. One way to help you improve your English. So, of course, I'm not going to ignore those students. I'm happy to see a lot of people interested. All right. Any last questions before I end the live stream? Get them in about IELTS. Any other comments? You can tell me what kind of, or yeah, you can give me any recommendation, what kind of material you'd like to see. Uh, James and I are building the website, getting the social media handled, and getting some resources to help you, some PDFs, things like that. And we'll also be offering some services. So if you have any recommendations or suggestions, let us know. Are there any diagrams to explain them in IELTS? What was them? Sleepwalker, can you clarify your question? How frequently will we study with you? Homeworks? Homeworks is uncountable. You cannot put an S. So homework. Uh, I will probably be more active in the IELTS, WhatsApp, and other social media than my other social media for the time being. So, Anna Maria, I am developing stuff every day. I'm thinking, developing with James. So, uh, we will have free stuff, but we also have paid services. So, do our best to help you. Will you upload videos in this channel or only live stream? Yes, we will upload videos. We have made videos. We have made about 20 videos we will upload in the future, not just yet. we want to we have to get the audience first. So thanks to you guys. If you're be sure to subscribe and like. You know the routine. Once we get the audience, then we'll start releasing more videos. Will you always make lives on this channel on Mondays? Probably. For the time being, I might come and be here live potentially almost every day. So I will probably be back tomorrow live with another lesson. I mean, I meant some drawings, graphics in Ielts. Yeah, we'll do stuff like that. Uh, chart descriptions. Uh, there's many things to. I don't want to go into all the parts of Ielts right now, but we'll do it all. We'll do whatever you think about. We'll do it. We'll do it. Whatever you request, we'll probably do it. Yeah, so I will end the live stream now. Thank you for coming today. I will probably be back tomorrow with another live stream teaching something about IELTS. I might do IELTS writing tomorrow, and I might give some homework component tomorrow after the live stream. We'll see how it goes. Wow, every day that's cool, but the time isn't really suitable for me. I will watch later. Oh, yeah, that's fine. Excuse me. All right, Dewey's very excited about IELTS. All right. Thanks everyone for watching, and I will talk to you again tomorrow. So take care.